You're watching Halton News. I'm Melissa Candelaria, your host for this evening, filling in for Jessica Kading. Let's start things off with some good news. Joseph Brant Hospital will begin to gradually reduce visitor restrictions and increase access to hospitals starting Monday. The hospital will be implementing new guidelines to allow inpatients to see their family members or caregivers during their stay, while also protecting the health and safety of everyone. New visitor guidelines include, and you can see that on your screen, each inpatient can identify up to 2 family members and caregivers to visit during their stay. Only 1 family member and caregiver may be at the bedside at one time. Clinical units will provide approved visitor names to entrance screeners daily. Visiting hours 9 to 8 p.m. Ambulatory care patients are not permitted to have visitors accompany them at this point. There are limited individual exceptions, but that's on a case-by-case basis. Visitors must pass COVID-19 screening before entering the hospital and follow all health and safety measures while in the hospital, including physical distancing and wearing their PPEs and the like. In addition to these new guidelines, more private rooms on the hospital's postpartum unit will be open to allow a patient's designated care partner to safely remain with them during their entire stay. This change will take effect on July 2nd. Also, the hospital is opening more entrances, and that starts on the 29th. Now let's talk about our COVID-19 numbers. It seems to be staying pretty steady this week. Not much of a change from yesterday. 52 active cases, 25 deaths reported, and 737 recoveries. Breaking it down by area, as you can see, Burlington has 15 active cases, Oakville 16, Milton with 17, and Halton Hills with 4. The amount of recoveries hasn't changed much from yesterday either, the most significant being in Burlington, which saw an additional 5 from yesterday's numbers. It is nice to see more and more recoveries happening as this pandemic continues. Now, Stats Canada released the Labour Force Survey for May. In that survey is a look at the labour market impacts because of COVID-19. Now, last month when we started to see restrictions ease, people started to go back to work. Now, there are 2 key findings in this report that showed men saw a greater employment increase than women. You can see the charts here yourself. Total employment increased more than twice as fast among men at 2.4% or 206,000 than women, which was only at 1.1% or 84,000. Not only that, the majority of job losses that happened between March and April ended up being recovered by men at about 14% compared to women at 5.4%. I know those are a lot of numbers to take in, but it seems to highlight that women are having a tougher time in this pandemic, according to the survey. Now, Burlington MP Karina Gould is aware of these numbers and says there are many factors that contribute to these findings.
First of all, unlike in the 2008-2009 financial crisis, it's not goods producing industries or construction or infrastructure that's taking a hit. It's service industries. So whether it's hospitality or restaurants, childcare, or different kind of services, those are often where women make up the majority of the workforce. And so, that one-on-one individual contact that a lot of women are providing, in whether it's service or care or hospitality, those industries have taken the biggest hit.
This report also shows that among parents, women see less employment increase than men and are more likely to lose hours. The reason? Well, Gould says part of this is because women essentially have remained primary caregivers,
whether it's for children or for elderly parents. And so whether or not maybe they didn't necessarily lose their job, but they're unable to work because children have been out of school and children have been out of daycare. And so we've also seen in Canada more women both contract and unfortunately pass away as a result of COVID than we're seeing in other countries. And so there really is a gender dimension to this crisis.
Okay, so what can be done about this? Well, Gould says the government has done their best to make sure women aren't left behind.
First of all, when we created the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, we clearly indicated that if you were unable to work because of childcare responsibilities, you would be eligible for the CERB. And that's really important because we've never really had that in any of our income support programs before. And so that was really important to make sure that women could continue to have an income, albeit perhaps more modest than they were used to, while they were unable to work to take on those additional responsibilities, or those existing responsibilities. Additionally, we topped up the Canada Child Benefit in May to ensure that parents who are facing additional costs and have lower income can also get additional supports. And we've also, announced very early on $50 million in additional supports for shelters and safe spaces for women and children fleeing domestic violence, recognizing that not just here in Canada, but right around the world, we've seen a huge surge in domestic violence as people are sheltering in place, they're staying at home, there are more tensions in families. And so that was a really important initiative. But then also, as the economy reopens and restarts, making sure that we are taking a gendered lens to what's happening in the economy and really recognizing what the challenges are that are facing women.
With non-essential appointments being canceled since COVID shut down the province, many patients are looking forward to returning to the dentist. I know I am, but what are the new protocols patients will be expected to follow? Nikki Wesley has that story.
Dentists have reopened for regular patients. Dr. Hiba Eldasuki explains what you can expect upon your first visit.
So we have increased all our sanitization processes because we want to make sure that the staff and the patients are both safe. Once you walk in, you find a set of instructions by the door. You'll find a sanitizer for your hands by the door. You walk in with your mask, and then you come to the front desk where you'll find a plexiglass sheet, and you have to talk to the front desk personnel behind the plexiglass. If you walk in without a mask, we provide one for you. We do screen the patients once they come in as well. So now we take the temperature, we assess if they have any signs of COVID before they come in and during the appointment, on the appointment day, and we make sure all that is in place and it's signed and documented. We disinfect all the waiting area, all the chairs, and we make sure we have a spacious waiting area so that we don't have overlapping patients. And the front desk staff will guide you to where to sit, depending on where they have disinfected the specific seat for you. Masking was another thing that we had to change. The patient has to walk in the clinic with a mask until they are seated in the operatory. But once we start working on them, this is when they pull their mask down. But to leave the operatory, they still have to wear the mask.
Dentistry's always had really meticulous sanitization procedures. Dr. Eldasuki explains the extra steps they are now taking because of COVID.
So once the patient leaves the room, there's usually aerosol generated from the procedures that we had performed with our drills. So we let that aerosol settle down for 15 minutes before we touch the room. After which we get in there, we unwrap everything that has been wrapped, remove all the dirty instruments that we've used, disinfect and wipe all the surfaces, and then leave that for a few minutes, come back again and re-disinfect all the surfaces, rewrap everything, and then let the new patient in.
How has COVID-19 changed dentistry?
So we triage over the phone. We've been using teledentistry as well. We've been doing video calls with the patients to see if they have swellings, if they have other signs and symptoms that could be treated remotely. And then the actual appointment is for the treatment. We do a quick assessment, pre-treatment, doing x-rays and things like that. And once we're sure of our diagnosis, we start right away. In the past, we used to bring them in, do the diagnosis first, take some x-rays, have a chat, but we're trying to eliminate their time on the chair now, or minimize it as much as possible. It's just safer, and it's also for the comfort of the patient, especially when you have an older age group that are more into the compromised age group. They're more liable to get infections, so we try to protect them as much as possible. So I think that will be a good way going forward for the safety of everyone.
Now that clinics are reopened, what have patients' reactions been?
It's been very positive. They're very confident coming in. They understand that the processes in place really work, because after we see the patients, we do follow up 2 weeks later to make sure that nothing has been transmitted, no signs and symptoms were detected, so we know that our processes have worked.
Reporting for Halton News, I'm Nikki Wesley.
We're going to take a short break right here, but we will be right back with more local news after this. Don't go away. Welcome back to Halton News. Lowville Park is preparing to reopen next week. Nikki Wesley is standing by with all the details visitors will need to know. Nikki?
Thanks, Melissa. I'm here in beautiful Lowville Park, where City of Burlington employees are preparing the park to reopen on Monday. Now, for visitors, there's a couple of new restrictions you need to know about. The parking lot's going to be restricted to 50% capacity. There are going to be 2 ambassadors in the park, one at the front gate regulating how many folks come in, and one in the parking lot just explaining anything that visitors might need to know or be aware of. The bathrooms will be open and they are going to be sanitized every single day, so no needs to worry there. If you've been to Lowville Park before, you know that there's some fabulous pavilions here. Normally they would be available for rental for big parties, but due to COVID, they're trying to keep those numbers smaller, keeping up with our physical distancing. So they're not quite ready to be rented out yet, but that's not to say that you can't come out and have a lovely picnic on the beautiful grass here with your family or in your bubble. Other things to keep in mind, the playground is unfortunately still closed, just like playgrounds around Burlington, again for safety's sake. But yeah, it's gorgeous here. There's a ravine, there's lovely trails. You know, I've spoken with some folks already who've missed it because this is really Burlington's hidden gem. Feels sort of like you're out in the country, and you know, it's a great escape from the city, and it's just up Guelph Line. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and the park looks forward to welcoming you back on Monday. Back to you, Melissa.
Now, while you're waiting for that park to open next week, in the meantime, if you're heading up to your cottage in Muskoka, well, you know, there's lots of things that you can do there. With me right now on the line from our sister station at Your TV, Muskoka, is Scott Acton. So nice to see you again. And wow, where are you?
I'm on the town dock here in Huntsville right now, Mel. Good to talk to you.
Wow. Okay. Well, it looks beautiful up there. And, you know, I wanted to have you on the program today. As you know, we have many residents here in Halton who do cottage up there where you are. And I wanted to talk about what stage we're in right now and, you know, talk about what we can expect coming up this weekend.
Well, certainly, Mel, we're 2 weeks into stage 2. So you're seeing patios, you know, obviously open here in this community. You know, people are being able to get haircuts again, which is a good thing for us. But certainly it's, you know, it's cautious steps all the way along. You know, the town, the Chamber of Commerce and the BIA have worked together to help businesses get up and running, certainly supporting through PPE, signage, things like that. You know, the word here is Muskoka is open for tourism, and it's safe to be here. Just make sure you follow those very important rules of physical distancing and wearing masks if you can't physical distance.
Well, let's talk about that. You know, we're open for tourism. Now, certainly in the beginning of all this, there was some sort of attitude by some residents up there who were kind of apprehensive to have our cottagers go up there for the week or what have you. And that certainly mentality has changed, in particular because we all know that Muskoka relies on tourism industry.
Well, that's it. Certainly early on during this pandemic, I mean, the stores weren't certainly ready. The businesses certainly weren't ready for what was, you know, concern of an influx of seasonal residents coming up here early. There was also concern about, you know, bringing the virus. Muskoka has been pretty well off so far. Only a handful of cases under the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit, most of those being in the Simcoe portion. So there was concern early on. That's certainly not the case now. As you said, Mel, I mean, businesses, they don't survive without summertime. So again, there's lots of campaigns underway, whether it's through the Chamber of Commerce and the BIA. We're open for business. Again, just be safe if you're coming.
For sure. And I guess you do wear many hats. Not only are you there as our Your TV Muskoka representative, but you are part of the chamber as well. And just quickly, I know you touched on it a little bit. How are businesses doing up there now?
So it's really exciting. I mean, we are seeing, you know, businesses opening. There's There's patios. Just to my right here is the On the Docks pub, popular lunchtime spot, and it seems to be doing quite well today. Tables, of course, are separated. You know, they're running at obviously a lesser capacity. Lots of people in this community, and people are, you know, physical distancing, which is great to see. In terms of events and things like that this summer, normally, you're right, with the Chamber of Commerce, we'd be in the midst of planning a lot of summertime events. That's not really the case this year, because basically, you know, you can't have gatherings more than 10 people. But there are other things to do up here. Algonquin Outfitters just down here on the dock as well. You can rent paddle boards and things like that. In fact, the town of Huntsville just partnered with an organization, approved it earlier this week, to open mountain bike trails up near Hidden Valley. So lots of outdoor activities. You know, we'd love for you to come to Muskoka. Again, let's just be smart about it.
Oh, I certainly would. I do miss you up there, and certainly miss many of those stores and restaurants, and can't wait to get up there again. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Mel. Great to talk with you again.
Again, that was Scott Acton with our sister station, Your TV Muskoka. Now, might as well show you, if you're heading up there this weekend, this is what your weather's going to look like. Now, I know we don't like to see rain when we go up to the cottage, but it's only going to be about 40% though, a high of 25 degrees with plenty of sunshine. More rain expected on Sunday, very slight chance at high of 27. If you're extending your stay at your cottage into next week, 28 degrees, plenty of sunshine on Monday. Same with Tuesday at 29 and Wednesday, a mix of sun and cloud at 29 degrees. Now for our weather forecast. First though, we got to take a look at this at the Burlington waterfront. That dog and that bike, too cute. If you want to take your dog bike riding, you can certainly do so, but you might want to wait until the rain lets up tomorrow. We might see some thunderstorms as well at a high of 29 degrees for Sunday. Plenty of sunshine. Perfect opportunity to get yourself to the splash pad in Burlington with temps going to a high of 30. Monday mainly sunny at a high of 29. Tuesday, plenty of sunshine at 27 degrees. Wednesday, a mix of sun and cloud at a high of 28. Now here's a look at the stocks, including Halton's top employers. Okay, we're going to take a short break right here, but more local news next. Welcome back to Halton News. As we wrap up the show tonight, the Burlington Food Bank says despite restrictions easing, people going back to work, the need is still there. Take a look at this update.
This is Robin Bailey, the Executive Director of the Burlington Food Bank, and today we just wanted to say that we've noticed a little bit of an uptake again from our clients, more people needing to use us. The other thing that we've seen though is people are having a little bit longer conversations on the phone with our intake people, as well as a little bit more detail in emails. People are struggling. They're still feeling very vulnerable, and at home, they're just not being able to feel the connection that they need to feel. And so we would ask that if you have a neighbor or someone, a family member who may be on their own and are vulnerable, we ask that you connect with them, that you maybe drop a note, knock on a door, and just let them know that there's people out there caring about them. Have a conversation over the telephone, whatever it might be, just to be able to help people feel a little bit better. Make sure you're wearing masks when you're out so that you're protecting other people. It's all about us caring for each other, Burlington together, and us just being able to do these things where we're actually supporting one another as a community. As a food bank, we're not just concerned about food, but we're concerned about the people that we care for. And we're glad that we're able to have these conversations, but we know that people need much more than the 5 or 10 minutes that we can give them in a day as we take their order. So again, thanks so much for your continued support of the Burlington Food Bank. But again, support one another just as much as you're supporting us.
Burlington Food Bank isn't the only establishment dealing with a rise. We're seeing Salvation Army food banks in Milton and Halton Hills as well, Oakville, who are also seeing an increase in uptake. So they do ask for any donations and help that you can provide. We are just days away from Canada Day, and events are certainly going to look a little different across Halton. When I spoke with MP Karina Gould earlier today, she was telling me it's going to be a little bittersweet.
Well, Canada Day to everyone in Burlington and right across the country, even though it's very different this year. And, you know, personally, of course, I'm disappointed that I won't be able to see, you know, so many of you out and about in the community. You know, I love, you know, starting the day with the VR Pro run and, you know, going to the Lawn Bowling Club and the Farmers Market and Spencer Smith Park and a whole bunch of, you know, different street festivals and neighborhood parties around the community. But this year, Canada Day is moving online. The City of Burlington is holding a virtual event. The Government of Canada is holding a virtual concert. So you can still celebrate and, you know, enjoy the festivities just, you know, from the comforts of your own home as opposed to on the lawn at Spencer Smith or Parliament Hill. And the other thing that is kind of fun is that the Rotary Club, the Lakeshore Rotary Club here in Burlington, is doing a drive-through Rib Fest at the Burlington Center. So, you know, there are still some some activities that you can do in a physically distant and safe way. But this is, you know, Canada Day is a wonderful day. It's a great day to celebrate our amazing, you know, diverse, inclusive, beautiful country. And so I really hope that everyone has a fabulous day, even though it's going to be a little bit different than it is in normal years.
Now, speaking of Canada Day, other municipalities have released their plans to celebrate. Town of Milton, for example, is also going virtual July 1st. All you have to do is follow them on Facebook and Twitter for a live stream of the event. Of course, we will have more information on what other municipalities are doing. I know Halton Hills is doing a virtual one as well next week, and we'll have that for you as we get more of those details. Another upcoming event include the Townsend Smith Foundation hosting a webinar grieving a loved one's death during COVID-19. That happens Wednesday, July 15th. To register, go to townsend-smith.ca. For more information on our program and for events, all you have to do is go to our website, yourtv.tv. You can also follow us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. From everyone here at Halton News, I want to thank you for watching. We'll see you next time and have a wonderful weekend.